So good morning. Our session, which is on adapting to climate change and the role of WOPs in urban Asia, is now to start. May we invite those who are going to our speakers and panelists, as well as participants who are interested to join our session. Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. But it's not working. It's okay. Okay, the session will run for 90 minutes, and there are two objectives: to present examples of WOP that have helped utilities gain operational efficiency and improve service delivery in the face of climate risk and challenges, at the same time to change experience on the challenges of both mentors and mentees in promoting and expanding WOPs, to identify actions that can help scale up this partnership across Asia, as it has proven itself an important instrument in developing the capacities of water and sanitation operators across the region. So we will have three main speakers. We are going to hear from Dr. Anne Bosquet of GWOPA on the global strategy on awareness and raising and financing WOPs across Asia. We will hear a mentor's viewpoint from engineer Daniel Navarreno of SMAT in Italy, but we're also going to hear a mentee's experience from Mr. Abdullah, who is the managing director of KWASA. So this will be followed by a short Q&A and panel discussion. We have two off-site speakers. One is from Bangladesh, and the other one is the panelist, Alison Woodrow of the Asian Development Bank.
Can we change the microphone? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so.
Ja, sicher.
Yeah.
Just so we can see.
Thank you very much. Okay, so without much ado, let me call on Dr. Anne Bosquet, who is a veteran in this Water Operators Partnership Program, to share with us GWOPA's strategy on awareness raising and, more importantly, on funding for WOPs across Asia. Anne, please.
Yeah, this one is not working. I think they are both. Huh? Okay. Hi, good morning, everybody. So thank you, Yolanda, for the nice introduction. I will not take too much of your time because I think many things have been said already, and I will just take the opportunity to present a bit broader about our advocacy strategy in general, and it applies also for Asia, of course. And as well as, we cannot really see here. And some hints on fundraising for the region. In fact, GWOPA is an alliance, and we work with platforms, with partners in different regions, and we have been actually partnering with Waterlinks for a long time in Asia, but we are in the process now also of broadening our partnership in the Asia region. So for some times also we have been partnering with other utility associations in Asia, notably Perpamsi in Indonesia, and it's a pity that they couldn't come to the Congress because it's also a very, very active WOP platform in the region for domestic WOPs. And we have another partnership with P1 from Pakistan, which is also counting with lots of utility members from the country. But we are very aware, I will show you some graphs about our membership in Asia. We are aware that we still have a lot to do in terms of awareness raising on the WOP mechanism towards the utilities in the region. And we are actually planning to expand our membership campaign through an EOI, and I will talk about it because I think it's a very great opportunity for utilities to join the alliance and especially for utility associations in the region. I wanted to show you some statistics globally and to show you the weight of Asia and the Pacific in the global WOP movement. At GWOPA, one of our mandate is to track the WOP projects on the planet, and we are a global alliance, so we are looking at WOPs and in all the regions of the globe, and we have a global WOPs observatory where we are keeping records on WOP projects, their funding, how long they are lasting, the partners, the working areas on which they are focusing. And this is a very important tool for us also to communicate, to raise awareness and to advocate for WOPs, because we need also to show that WOPs are very high in demand, that there is a strong demand from operators, so that we can convince also donors to fund this specific capacity building mechanism. So when we are looking at our database of WOPs for Asia, for the planet, and you can see it on the map, there is a big third of the WOPs that are actually happening in Asia. And our repository is not complete. We know that there are many more. It's just that they have not been captured. So this is also here a call to WOP practitioners to be in touch with us and to let us know about your WOP in your region so that we can also position them on the map. And why I'm saying that, why it is important to have this kind of records is also to really show the momentum on WOPs, the strong demand on WOPs, so that we are also more credible when we go to donors and when we are trying to convince them to invest on WOPs. So the more we can show that WOPs are happening, that WOPs are working, the more we have chances to get funding for the WOP family. So 38% of the WOPs are happening in Asia. It's without including notably small WOPs happening at domestic level, notably in Indonesia, which is a very, very active platform, through PERPAMSI, which are mainly domestic WOPs, so meaning that they are happening at the national level. But we've seen trends that now also in Indonesia, mentors are also beginning to mentor at the regional level, and notably through some programs that we had implemented in the region with Waterlinks. And if we are looking only on the ongoing WOPs in 2022 from our WOP database, meaning those ones that have already started and the ones that are still active in 2022, there are also a good number happening in Asia. I will just skip that. What I wanted to show you here also is the type of WOPs that are happening in Asia, not only the numbers, but also the type of WOPs which are there. You know, Yoli, what screen here is not showing the PowerPoint? It's a bit, okay. I just need to look at the figures again on the big screen there. So what we have observed for WOPs in Asia, and it's a very encouraging tendency, is that if we compare to the statistics we had a couple of years ago, the duration was much shorter. It was more or less 1 year WOP, and the budget was also much more limited. It was about $150,000 for a 1 year WOP. And of course, our recommendation and the feedback we had from the practitioners was that they needed more time to go more in depth in the WOP project, and also to give more time to the mentees to absorb the new working routine, the new knowledge. So 1 year was usually quite short. But the tendency from the statistic we collect is that they are longer and longer, and for Asia in particular, there is a tendency to have 4-year WOP project, which is very good, and the budget is also quite significant. Alors, here the average, what we have is about $1.3 million over 4 years, not per year, but for the whole duration. It includes, of course, in our calculation, the in-kind inputs from the mentor. So you know that most of the staff time is usually volunteered by the mentor, but we believe and we think it's fair to estimate how much it represents in terms of investment in dollars from the mentor side, and to include it in the value of the WOP. So this is why also the average cost is quite high now for WOPs in Asia, because also of strong mentors inputs. And also what have made the envelope increasing is that the two major WOP programs that are happening in Asia that we know of always are the EU WOP project. I think you have heard about this project now, which came with envelope around 450,000 per WOP. And there is also the Waterworks program from the Dutch operators, which are also very well-funded WOPs. So this is very encouraging, and we are quite happy to see this global tendency. Okay, about awareness raising and I wanted to share with you, because we haven't had really an occasion here in the Congress to talk about our governance framework and how we work, and why it is important also to have more and more utility members joining the alliance. We have, in fact, it's a bit of a specificity of GWOPA as a UN Habitat program. You know that GWOPA is part of the UN Agency for Urban Settlements, UN Habitat. But we are not just a project program. We are really a network of partners. We are an alliance, and we are the only UN program that is dedicated on WOPs and on utilities. So we are the only one that are really raising the voices of the operators in all the big international UN type events, fora, like the last UN 2023 Water Conference in New York, which was, I think you heard that in some session, one of the last, one of the last, the last big water conference was 50 years ago. We were there, we raised the voices of the operators, and this is thanks to all our members. So it is important also that utilities, and especially from Asia, which are not very many in the alliance so far, join also the alliance. And it is part really of the awareness raising. I'm not going to go too much into details, but you can see in the graph that we don't have so many operators from Asia. We have some utilities association in those numbers, so it's bigger, but it's not a majority of our members, and I think there is really lots of room for that. And I want also to let you know that we have opened an expression of interest for utility associations at national, sub-regional level to join the alliance as as WOP, as national platforms, and they have a reserved seat, our steering committee, which sits every year and which really gives us the strategic orientation for the Secretariat over the coming year. So it's an important entity, an important body, and there are seats reserved for Asian operators. So it's very important to come and join. We are also using different tools to make WOPs more visible, better, again, to feed this awareness strategy and promotion of WOPs, especially in Asia. I will finish with the mobilization of funding. I think what you need to be aware of is that there will be a second round of WOPs funded by the EU. We are talking about it at the moment, so it's a very, very unique opportunity to get WOP funded in the region. That will be, the preparation will start in 2024, but we will inform you of this. We have also, and you can see that ADB is quite present, and I think we have Alison later connected. We are also discussing with the regional donors. So this is work in progress, but we need to also be able to show that there is a strong demand and that Asia has a significant weight in the alliance, so that we can spread the word and jointly mobilize funding for the WOP practice in the region. And I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne. Very encouraging to hear that there will be a second round of EU WOP. And I promise you the utilities from Asia are very interested in this opportunity. Without much ado, I'd like to call on Engineer Daniel Navarino of SMAT, who is currently the team leader of SMAT for our WOP, who is going to share with you some of the success factors and challenges, and more importantly, what drives the mentor to mentor. Daniel, please.
Thank you, Yolanda. Nice to meet you here in this Congress. Okay, the slide. I'm Daniel Navarino, and I'm from SMAT. SMAT is a public utility working in Italy, especially in northwest of Italy. We provide water supply and also wastewater treatment to more or less 2 million people in the northwest of Italy. And in particular, I'm the responsible of the most important wastewater treatment plant in Italy, that is Turin Wastewater Treatment Plant. This is the first time that we are involved in a WOP project, and this is a great opportunity for us. And in particular, our experience with our Indian partner is going on in this period is really important for us. Also because I think it's the basis for a long period process of activities into WOP. I will show you some images about our experience in our WOP, supporting OWSSP in upgrading capacities in wastewater and fecal sludge management. Okay, this is a brief slide about our organization into the WOP. As you can see, there are many partners working together. SMAT is the lead partner of the project. We have the mentor, and we supply to our mentee our support in all the activities into India. But we are not alone. There are also other important players into this in this activity. Hydrate, which is an additional partner and that provide training for the people in India. Water links, of course, without water links, everything won't be possible. because they have the knowledge of WOP, and they are an additional partner and a facilitator for us, especially for this particular part of India, that is the Odisha state. Polytechnic of Torino, that is, we are strongly related to the activities with this university. It's a technical university, it's a polytechnic, and they provide they are an additional partner for the project. And finally, OWSSP, which is the organization, the water utility in Odisha state, the beneficiary of our WOP. Okay, how it is organized, our WOP? It is divided into three main working areas. The first one is connected to gender mainstreaming and social inclusion. This part is very important and was very surprising for us to meet this view of gender inclusion into India. I will show you some images about how do they manage treatment plant, and this was very important for us in order to understand the importance also of a WOP. The second working activity is related to the management of a program of training, supplying a contribution, online contribution for people, for our mentee in India. And it is provided on a platform, PMP platform, that actually we use for all our activities. And then finally, the most on-site and related to the territory working activity that is based on sanitation wastewater treatment, and that is divided into 4 subgroups. In each subgroup, there is a mentor and a mentee dedicated to the specific activity. So, about the challenges as a mentor of in this WOP. As you know, we finished in last year with a long period of emergency. It was very critical for us to have a meeting on site with our partner, because India opened to foreigner only into summer 2022. So until that period, we couldn't be able to obtain visa in order to reach our Indian partner. So what we did, we started to have communication, online communication, but only with online communication, we didn't have the correct approach to the problem of our mentee. So we started to imagine how it is the Indian situation, but you can use imagination, but if you don't go on site, you really don't appreciate the differences between your organization and, in this case, the Indian one. And finally, the most important challenge that is actually still on is that of transform mentee requirement into success. Because we have to understand what are the requirements of our mentee, we have to try to focus our attention on few activities in order to reach the goal that our mentee purpose and that we have to assign us. So, what drives SMAT to be a mentor? As you can see, we were completely involved in Indian culture during our on-site visit. First of all, it is necessary, in my opinion, to be really curious. This must be the driving factor for every activity as a technician. Without curiosity, you can't go on. The possibility to improve knowledge. Okay, we are a mentor, our Indian partner are mentee, but it is necessary to understand that the mentor and mentee activities can be mixed together, especially if we speak about climate change. Yesterday I was speaking with a guy coming from Uganda we had an interesting conversation during the WOP, during the Congress. He was speaking to me about the problem of Uganda about climate change. I was speaking to him about Italian problem related to climate change, and the final conclusion is the problem are the same. The same. So mentor and mentee activities can be strictly related and also mixed together. And finally, the spirit of cooperation. In WOP community, of course, the problem of a part are the problem of all. Then, the success factors for a successful WOP. First of all, to keep an open mind, have open approach to the different cultural situation that you can find in the country you will visit, organize on-site activities. During COVID period, we used to have contact only by computer, but this is not enough. It is necessary to have a human touch, to go on site, to see what's happening on site in order to have a success factor for a successful WOP. And then finally, when you come back in your home, you have to continue the activity of the WOP, and it is really important to stay in contact, to stay in touch with your mentee. It is necessary not to abandon the mentee. We have to be purpose in order to continue the activity in the best way. Only a brief slide about our experience with the PMP platform. It is a very useful tool in order to provide services to our mentees. It is also a little bit complex, in my opinion, also because we are technical, we are volunteers, as we said in the previous presentation, and we have to organize our daily working activity also with this part, and it is very difficult for us. But it is actually a success, and many people are participating to these platform activities. I'm going on to the concluding remarks. The role of WOPs also in climate change, into these particular activities. Information, education, communication are really important. It is really important to understand how the people are working into in this case in India, in our mentee states, and with particular attention to the training of the people on site. Social inclusion, economical benefit for poor people, and communication and knowledge are really important if you want to make the change. And finally, it is necessary to feel that we are part of the change. In these images, now I finish, in these images you can see something related to the change. From right to left, we can see the evolution of a critical situation. To be a part of the change, we have to know that the climate change is something effective that must be fight starting from a cultural approach. And this is very important. And this is the very last slide I want to show you. This pic was taken into a slump after a very interesting moment of meeting with the population. And if we want to start with a cultural approach, maybe we have to start from children, from young people, in order to grow up the sense of climate change, cultural change, that is really important and at the basis of our WOP. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniel, to be within the time limit. Our next speaker would be, he's off-site, he's from Bangladesh. He's the managing director of Khulna Wasa for more than 10 years. And Mr. Abdullah is an avid supporter of the WOP. So since he couldn't come, we have a video presentation in which he's going to discuss the success factors, the benefits, and the challenges that they experience as a mentee, especially during the pandemic. Can we now put on the video?
This is Mohammed Abdullah, Managing Director and CEO, Ulna Water Supply and Sewerage Authority, Bangladesh. And the name of the topic of my presentation, Adapting to Climate Change, the role of WOPs in Urbanesia and the experience of Ulnawasa. Key actors in the WOP, the mentor of this WOP, Pidam Kota Surabaya, Sembada Surabaya, Indonesia, and mentee of this WOP, Ulna Water Supply and Sewerage Authority, Kewasa of Ulna, Bangladesh, and facilitator of this WOP, Water Links, Philippines. WOP overall objective was determined as to improve the operational efficiency of Kewasa as a water service provider with two working areas, namely NRW management and customer accounts management. Major accomplishment in NRW management: establishment of two pilot DMS, namely Tutpara, number of customers under this DMA 1998, and Bastwara is another DMA, number of customer 950. Creation of Kewasa NRW team composed of 19 members who were trained in various aspects of NRW management, including online training conducted on calculation of water balance for pilot DMS and zero pressure test from April 2020 to September 2021. Next slide on major accomplishments on customer accounts management. Online training on meter reading application and cross different platforms. Procurement of smart meter reading apps with mentors guidance on technical specifications. Implementation of smart meter reading app in pilot DMS with 4,500 customers starting from September 2021. Completed customer survey and updating customer records in pilot DMS. Training on preparation of financial reports, billing and collection, analysis of customer payment patterns, visualization of data resulting improvement of collection efficiency and billing rate by 10%. And the next slide is on challenges as mentee. The COVID-19 pandemic was the main challenge, how to implement the OP activities as planned. Travel restrictions prevented Kewasa to visit its mentor in Indonesia. Constant lockdowns due to the COVID-19 pandemic limited the movement of staff and made fieldwork challenging, NRW monitoring, meter reading, survey of customers. Shift to online activities of water operator partnership required good internet connections, which was sometimes problematic in Khulna, Bangladesh. Fieldwork required strict observance of health protocols by wearing masks, hand gloves, keeping social distance and using hand sanitizer, adding some difficulty while conducting zero pressure test and customer survey, consequently extending period of completion. Next slide on success factors on this OP. Strong commitment of Kewasa management led by the managing director ensured a successful OP. Willingness and enthusiasm of Kewasa authority and its personnel to embrace change and implement the agreed OP activities. DMA establishment, zero pressure test, smart meter reading app, and online posting of customer bills software. Mentors, Idam Kota Surabaya, and facilitator Waterlinks provided mentee continuous support and cooperation for conducting training as well as fieldworks through online communication platform. GEOPA offered its financial assistance and online monitoring for the implementation of the OP. Kewasa had its own budget to augment the grant funds from GEOPA OFID to purchase the required equipment. Benefits of OP gained by Kewasa under this OP. Remarkable reduction of NRWO in DMAs from 25% to 10%. Better pressure and flow in the households under DMA areas. Increasing revenue collection and thereby financial improvement of Pulnawasa. Reduced customer billing complaints by ensuring correct meter reading through app. Increase in revenue collection efficiency with implementation of the smart meter reading app and end up cleanup of customer database, timely bill generation and printing by adding robust dot matrix bill printers procured under the zone. Scale up activities following this water operator partnership. After the completion of OP activities, Kewasha Authority from their own initiative, the activities also continued, which are mentioned as follows. Online training facilities for more Kewasha staffs at a time are made possible and meaningful through procured large screen monitor. 2 more DMS successfully established and in operation after completion of the OP. 100% customers are brought under the procured smart meter reading apps across Kewasa working territory. 100% bills paid by the customers at banks are posted to Kewasa server by online bill posting software procured under this OP. Thank you very much for patient hearing.
Thank you, MD. And please stay online because I have a few questions for the speakers before we proceed to the panel discussion. Maybe I start with MD because the connection might not be so good. MD, given the complexity of challenges, as a mentee, do you feel that extending the implementation period of the WOP is, okay with you? Our recent WOP was for maybe more than a year. But do you think that as a mentee, is it acceptable for you to really extend the duration of the WOP to see results? And in connection with that one, how do you feel as a mentee? Do you really believe that an investment should be tied up to the WOP? Again, for sustainability aspects. MD, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, during the implementation of the objectives of this OP, we, Kewasa as mentee, encountered various challenges, and also those challenges were addressed jointly by the effort from mentor as well to achieve the targets as set against the identified working areas. In spite of such challenging issues, as a mentee, Kewasa strongly feel and having keen interest about extending the implementation period of the OP with additional finances. Actually, the main reason behind the extension to secure better and sustainable results on operational efficiency improvement. And for the second part of your question, I would like to mention that actually, for the interest of KEWASA to obtain better sustainable operating results, the mentee feels that an investment project may be linked up with this OP. And it is also mentioned that for an investment project funding by the international financial institutes or a bilateral agency in Bangladesh, the government follows some specific guidelines and procedure for all categories of foreign aided investment projects. Then we will have to also furnish those required uh, activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MD, for these insightful statements. Anne is listening. Yeah? So now let me let me ask Danielle first. Same question. Given the complexity and the challenges as a mentor, how do you feel extending the? Of course, at the moment we have 36 months, but how do you feel extending the duration of the WOP with, of course, with additional finances, of course? And how do you feel it? And do you also feel that as a mentor, do you feel that the mentee, in this case OWSSB, should be able also to have an investment, meaning the WOP tied up to a proposal or a project that they could take?
Yeah, it's of course a good question, and I think in many other sessions of this Congress, this argument was part of our discussion. As you said, WOP are a complex project. 3 years pass away very fast. In the first year, you try to understand. The second year, you manage and try to approach on-site activities, and the final year is the final year. So maybe it's passed away in a moment. So yes, it is really interesting, the idea of extending the period of WOP. Maybe it is necessary. A discussion can be done if it's necessary to extend the period of WOP to all the working activities or even to specific working activities, depending on the mentee purposes and mentee interest. And about the possibility to have financing this longer period. Yeah, I think it's important, but maybe it is important, as it's been said many times, that this financing is structural, something maybe coming from government directly or from taxes, from fees, because if you are able, as a utility, to have a stable financement for WOP, for activities just like this, maybe you are able also to invest on people that work directly on these specific activities in time. And as you said before, we are voluntaries. Okay, this is maybe fundamental in many cases, but we have also our daily activities that are very important, must be followed. If we are able, having financement, to have more people working on these activities, maybe it will be better and simpler to go on.
Thank you very much. And now, 2 questions for Anne, as our supporter from JWOPA. There are 2 issues for Asian WOP, given the rapid urbanization and the higher demand for water quality and sanitation services. One is the size of the WOP funding envelope or the portfolio. We think that it has to expand significantly if we are to aspire for more than a mere marginal results. $100,000 per WOP and an average of 18 months implementation schedule is no longer sufficient given the magnitude of our problems. And we think that that amount and that period of time will not really make a dent in the quality or higher efficacy. Our question is GWOPA factoring these aspects as it seeks to expand the funding? And the other thing related to that is sanitation services are lagging behind. We know it. It has been stated that we are really very far from our targets. Yeah? And considering, having serious impacts on public health, productivity, and urban livability. Is GWOPA considering a better balance between the WOPs for water supply and sanitation? Those are our questions for Anne. There's one more to follow, but we want to hear first on these two.
Thank you, Yolanda. Okay, so first, I also want to remind our audiences that GWOPA per se, it's not a donor. We are mobilizing funding from development agencies, and you saw our list of sponsors. So from our perspective, what we can do is to convince donors to open funding windows for WOPs, and then we can try to influence the envelope dedicated to WOPs and the kind of themes that we want to see implemented during the WOPs. I agree with you. I don't know your we have different figures apparently for how we calculate the budget. But I agree. What you mentioned is certainly not enough. We are encouraging longer term WOPs, and I think the first round of the EU is already a good step towards several, multiple year WOP. We came from 1 year to now 3 years. The real breakthrough that we haven't yet managed is to link systematically in the capital investment for the utility on infrastructure and a WOP component. It has not happened with this type of framework yet. So this is something we are continuously discussing with major donors, like there was Walid from OFID. They are thinking of developing a utility investment fund where WOPs would be a systematic component for technical assistance and not the usual consultancy technical assistance, because the banks are still thinking this way most of the time. So this is an objective, and that will open much bigger perspectives in terms of WOP duration and WOP envelopes. Okay. That's my first response. So we are considering it, we are aware of it, we are working on it. I hope the second round of the EU WOP will go also in this direction.
We hope so.
Voilà. So I hear you well.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. So at this point in time, I would like to invite our panelists. We have 4 panelists and 1 offline. We have panelists from IWK, Engineer Rohaida Hassan. Can you please sit in front? Don't be shy. And we also have a panelist from PDPAL Banjarmasin, the Managing Director, Pa Indang, please. We have a panelist, which is a former mentee, the General Manager of the Baliwag Water District in the Philippines. And another previous mentor of ours from PDAM Kota Surabaya, Engineer Justiniana. Justi, please. And also we have one, Allison, which is online. Okay. For the panelists, you have heard the presentation of our resource person, and you also heard about their experiences. And my question first to Engineer Hassan, What is the role of WOP, your role of your organization in WOP implementation? And can you highlight the support to WOP that you are doing as a critical program to address climate change impact in urban Asia?
Thank you, Yoli. Okay, our role in WOP is actually to be the mentor for Banjarmasin. We know that Piripa Banjarmasin is, in terms of adapting to climate change, their location is actually in the wetland area. So we have to ensure their capacity in terms of manpower capability is actually strengthened in terms of performance as well as in terms of how they do operate maintenance of their sewage treatment plant and maintaining the vehicle dislodging, how to conduct dislodging. So basically, when we do the work, we start with, we conduct diagnostic analysis first. We have to understand what they have on the ground and do some survey. And from that, we actually, we plan for the training that they needed. So that is how we do it. We divide the training based on 3 scope area, which is the human resource competency matrix analysis, and then from that we draft the training needed based on what is happening on the ground. After that, the second scope of the WOP is actually we do technical support in terms of sanitation training, focusing on wastewater treatment plant, and also dislodging, maintaining of dislodging tankers, and as well as how they operate their sludge treatment facilities. So that is more on, the first year we actually focus on training, because manpower knowledge, understanding or their knowledge is the key for them to improve further. Okay, after that, we look forward, after they know the training, we look forward for them to implement what they have learned. So they also have to develop a standard operating procedure checklist, and then conduct, based on that, we want them to use it later for the second year. That is how we do it. But at the same time, we also have the third scope of the area is actually on focus more on engagement with the stakeholders, which is they have to conduct engagement. We very lucky, we get strong support from Wali Kota or the Mayor of Banjarmasin, where when the first year we launched the project, we actually do some briefing at the Banjarmasin Mayor Office, and we have a very strong support. In fact, the Mayor himself do project launching to the media directly. So the news actually come up in a new bulletin, so for the local news, so which is very good for support that we get from the Mayor himself. After that, we continue the engagement with the pilot area, whereby we go to the site and do engagement with the engagement with the local community, whereby we go together with our mentee, bring up the community leaders and explain about the project, the 3 years project that we have on the ground. So we hope after this they continue to do engagement with the local people, that we expect this to proceed, and we we are lucky also. They are very supportive in terms of receiving the training, awareness in terms of the launching at the site when we do engagement as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I want to ask our mentee the same question. As a mentee, what is the role of PDPAL Banjarmasin? And please highlight the support that the PDPAL is giving to the WOPs as a critical program to address climate change impacts, not only to improve your capacity, but also to address the impacts of changing climate regime being experienced in Banjarmasin.
Thank you, Mr. Londa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to be here. My name is Endang Waryono. Currently, I am director of the Banjarmasin Domestic Wastewater Management Regional Public Company. It is a pleasure to meet you all. First of all, from the Palde Banjarmasin is operator of domestic wastewater management owned by the Banjarmasin city government, providing solution to sanitation problem, especially the management of domestic wastewater. However, at present, Perumda Palde Banjarmasin must expand sanitation service coverage. Currently, the total capacity of domestic wastewater treatment plant is 17,500 meter cubic per day, but only around 2,000 meter cubic per day is being utilized. Likewise, with the fecal sludge treatment plant, which capacity of 10 meter cubic per day, only about 2 meter cubic per day is utilized. Total coverage of central domestic wastewater management services and local system amount to only 4.45% of total population of Banjarmasin city. There is a low interest of the community to become customer of Perumda Palde due to the lack of public understanding of the importance of safe sanitation. Apart from that, the natural condition of the form of swim water and river flow also influence the choice of domestic wastewater management, where people choose to dispose of their waste directly in the surface of swamp or river water by using chubluk boxes, which are considered cheap and available. The impact of climate change will further pose problem for us. Banjarmasin is a coastal city and the dangers of sea level rise is being felt every year, exacerbated thus flooding the city. This reduce the quality of the environment and give the city an image as slum. As a service provider, Perumda Palde is expected to address these challenges to provide a solution to the sanitation problem that is safe and doesn't pollute the aquatic environment of the city. Through the WOP program, we are receiving training and technical guidance so that Perumda Pal Banjarmasin can improve their capacities to expand and improve services for our people. Under our current WOP are three working areas. First, human resources development and training. Aim of this is to improve management human resources through the development and implementation of a competition metric. Second, sanitation, wastewater, desludging, and sludge handling, which intend to improve management of wastewater and sludge, including the sledging operation with focus a hard aspect of focus. The third, stakeholder management with aim is to put in place a robust IIC program to engage to stakeholder partner in the implementation and effective sanitation program. As a current WOP mentee, we have committed ourselves to provide all the need to make this web a success. We understand that with the knowledge, expertise, and experience our mentee in the Water Consortium of Malaysia will be able to build our capacity as an institution as well as the individual capacities of our staff to improve our operation efficiency. Address the challenge not only to provide sustainable sanitation the population of Banjarmasin, but also plan better to cope with impact of climate change like flooding and others. Toward this end, Prumdapal, together with the local government, Banjarmasin are working together, commit resources and ensure that sanitation is high on the local political agenda of the mayor. Thank you for your help and cooperation.
Thank you, Pa Indang. So we have heard the statement from a current mentee and how is WOP helping them not only improve their operational efficiency, but more importantly also address the climate change impact within Banjarmasin. And what is unique in this current WOP is really the support that we are getting from the local government, from the mayor himself. Now let me go now to both to the two ladies who were coming from former mentee who were engaged in the WOP in the previous years. So let me start first with the general manager of Baliwag Water District. The partnership of Baliwag was with IWK and in the Philippines and Waterlinks. We are very proud to announce that this is really a life-changing change that has been achieved because the mentee has now become a mentor in the Philippines. So I would like to invite GM Vicky to elaborate more on the role of your role in the WOP implementation and highlights what has been done after that with you, a mentee, becoming a mentor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yoli. Good morning, everyone. Please allow me to introduce first who is Baliwag Water District. It is a government-owned and controlled corporation which was created under the Presidential Decree number 198 or the Provincial Water Utilities Act of 1973. To date, there are more than 500 water districts all over the country which are primarily responsible in providing water and sanitation service outside of Metro Manila. And all of these water districts are regulated by local water utilities administration. And in 2012, Baliwag Water District was one of the recipients as a mentee of multiple water operator partnership on replicating best practices on septage management program, where in the Water Consortium of Malaysia as the regional mentor and Maynilad Water Services Incorporated in the Philippines as the local mentor. And this was facilitated by Waterlinks under the USAID-supported program EcoAsia. I could say that the WOP plays a big role on the success of our septage management program. The capacity building was very comprehensive, just like Ma'am has said, from conceptualization of the project, the different technology options and selection, the preparation of the terms of reference. They also shared the best practices and lessons learned on operation and maintenance on the sludging, treatment, and disposal facilities. And they also share the basic troubleshooting techniques and even the safety and health practices. And they also share their job order forms and the likes and the reporting documents. So basically, it's from cradle to grave. With this capacity building through WOP, Baliwag Water District has successfully implemented a sustainable septage management program for a decade now. So we are operating for 10 years. And right now, we have expanded our service to 8 water districts in the province of Bulacan through the septage clustering program. And being true to our commitment, we are very delighted to share our success story and share the same best practices and lessons learned that we have experienced on septage management program to other service providers for their possible replication. So Baliwag Water District has become the benchmarking and training hub on septage management program in the Philippines. Used to be a mentee, now a mentor. Thank you.
And now let us hear from the mentor of KWASA, Engineer Justi, to share with us the role of PIDAM in the WOP implementation and at the same time highlight the support to the WOP as a critical program to address climate change impact in urban Asia. Justi, please.
Thank you, Yoli, for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Justi from PDIM Surya Sembada. So PDIM is water company owned by the local government. PDIM serves the second largest city, Surabaya, with 600,000 connection. We cover 90% of 3 million inhabitants. So PDIM now award as a top regional owned enterprise. So in this WOP, we are mentor of KWASA that found by GWOPA of it with the Waterlink as a facilitator. So MD already told that we have a objective to improve operational efficiency of KWASA in the 2 focus main area, and RW management and customer account management. So MD already told us that even though we are in the during pandemic, with the commitment and the enthusiasm of KWASA to do this WOP, we successfully accomplish all the target of this WOP. So because of restriction or the COVID-19, we switched our activity into online. So maybe it's really difficult or impossible, but like for instance, doing the zero pressure test with online platform available like Facebook or WhatsApp, but we can do it. Yeah. And we established 2DMA during the WOP, and also we conducted SOP with the mentor guidance. So after the WOP is finished, the KWASA imitated that the process into another DMA. So I believe that managing, put it good place and RW will effective not only for financial sustainability, but also environmental. And RW mean we waste our water resource, not only water resource, but also energy, wasting the energy, and then yeah, with wasting our energy, also chemicals. So we know that energy will improve the footprint carbon. Also, in chemical, we will have side effect like trihalomethane effective to um, climate change. So I mean, if we can manage the NRW, we also can reduce the impact of climate change itself. So wait. So as a mentor, we firmly believe that impact of climate change can be addressed through the WOP by building the capacity of the water operator. And then we commit that helping utility this area, and we commit with helping this area with our expertise, knowledge, and experience. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you. At this point in time, I'd like to invite Alison. Alison is the Principal Water Security Specialist from the Asian Development Bank. Welcome, Alison. We'd like to request Alison to provide us and discuss very briefly. She has made a lot of a statement about this in the previous session, but just the same, we'd like to request Alison to give us an overview of the current WOP of Asian Development Bank. Alison, please.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yeli. And thank you for the invitation to participate. It's really a pleasure to be part of this esteemed panel of with representatives from water entities from around Asia. Yeah, thank you for raising. As you know, ADB has been supporting WOPs since 2006. And we've just relaunched a new WOPs program. We're calling it WOP for R, or Water Organization Partnerships for Resilience, recognizing the critical challenges that utilities face. I think water utilities are really on the front line of climate change. And as I think we've already heard from other panelists, the challenges being faced are immense. There's challenges already that utilities face, but new ones too, issues around increasing water scarcity, issues around water quality, so water becoming saline, more turbid. We know there's issues on the mitigation side. We previous sessions talked about energy consumption of utilities is quite high, methane emissions. So there's a range of complex challenges to be addressed linked to climate change for utilities in the region, which is why we've chose to focus our WOPs on the resilience aspect. And I think the WOPs model lends itself well to exploring and trying to build capacity to address these complex challenges. I think that peer-to-peer learning really enables mentees to work with mentors to troubleshoot maybe on these complex challenges that haven't been faced so much in the past. So really learning by doing and trying to come up with resilience measures. And bring in new opportunities as well. So looking at bringing in measures like nature-based solutions and digitization, which offer potential to improve the resilience of water utilities in the region. So the program is just starting up. We are now identifying our mentees and mentors, and we're hoping, and it's good to see on the panel some of the water entities that we'll be working with. So I hope that we'll have some more substantive feedback for the next Congress on this program. But yeah, we are excited to be launching it this year. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Alison. Thank you very much for providing the time to be with us. Maybe it's quite late in Philippines now. Yeah? Okay, so I still have a few minutes before I wrap up. So if there's any question, clarifications from the speaker and the panelist, please. Yes?
Yeah, I just want to add that for Ida Water Consortium, we are one of the largest in the region, in Asia region. So I'm sorry for the late introduction about myself. So I'm in the learning and management section. So Ida Water Consortium is already in 28 years already as a public utilities company owned by Ministry of Finance Incorporated. So we operate over 7,300 sewage treatment plants nationwide. So and 1,400 network pump station, and we serve sewage the public on sewage services for 30 million population equivalent. So that's why we call it one of the largest in the region. Okay. So we proud to be the mentor for the past more than 10 years already. So now we begin as renew in Juopa as the mentor. So we hope to continue again to support all the WOP and any other similar activities for the future. Thank you.
Anne? Yeah.
I have a question for Alison. Can you hear me, Alison?
Alison?
Yes, thank you, Anne. I can hear you
thank
loud and clear.
Yeah. No, just first I want to say you are so lucky to work in such a dynamic region for WOPs with such dedicated operators and also so much dedicated mentors, which is super nice. I want to maybe have a bit more information about this new WOP program, if you could share the duration that is envisaged and a rough idea about the budgets.
Great. Thanks, Anne. And good question. In tailoring What for Our, we conducted an evaluation of our past WOPs programs to sort of feed into the design of the new What for Our. And one of the comments was that in the past, ADB's WOPs could have been longer, that the mentees would have appreciated follow-on continuing support. I know it's always a challenge because time is given for free by both sides, so it can't go on forever. But one of the changes we made under a WOP for R was to be flexible. So the starting point for the WOP is 12 to 18 months, as in the past, but we do have provision to extend and go beyond that period up to 3 years. So in terms of duration, it depends on the need of the particular capacity building challenges. Under our WOPs, we usually focus on between 1 and 3 key challenges that a utility is facing, and we center the WOP around and the work program around those challenges. So we'd like to be quite focused. In terms of budget, in the past, again, we allocated about 50,000 per WOP, and this is to support travel and in-kind support in country. Travel and support costs in country. Recognizing that, costs have increased and we may extend the duration of a WOP, we're looking at approximately, again, it can be flexible depending on the needs, about 100,000 per WOP. But maybe one thing to mention is that for us, we generally link our WOPs with ongoing or planned ADB investment projects. So although the WOP itself, in terms of capacity building, is quite small, there's huge potential to link into an associated ADB investment project, which can bring additional funds for investments to scale up and implement activities that were started up under the WOPs and actually follow through with identified investments. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. So I think it's time to wrap up. the discussion, the whole discussion really was focused on WOPs, what is happening, how does the mentor and the mentee feel about this important and critical program, which we hope will really become a mechanism, no, that we can adopt, especially in urban Asia where we have a lot of problems, not only related to the operational efficiency of the operators, but also because of the impact of of a changing climate regime. More and more we are faced with coping with flooding, droughts, and I think the most important takeaway from our discussion is that WOP really works. And as Daniel has emphasized, if you want to make a change, the change should come from within. And I thank all the mentors, the mentees, and all those who are present on our session, and also those to MD and Alison who took time really to be online. I was so nervous because coming from Asia, I know the instability of the internet, but thanks to technology, you are able to join us, not physically, but virtually. Thank you very much, and we hope and look forward to sharing you more experiences from our mentors and mentees from Asia in the next Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much.